Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 98 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Liam from FloodPull in New York. Let's go!
What up, Daddy-O? What the heck is this?
It's just a new background. It's not real. It's fake.
It's so echoey.
Is it because I have a different mic? Can you hear me? Hello?
I like it when you kiss the microphone. Where are you?
I got it wet.
Yeah.
Got a beverage?
Oh, yeah, got one here. I crack open a freshie. Where are you for the fifth
Very
time?
good at this. Okay, so I am my location. I keep like leaning down to the mic. Like,
Yeah, don't do that. Just sit backwards.
My location is classified. Cheers.
Did you run away?
It's actually terrible. No, it's not so bad. Tropical mango, not so bad.
Okay.
All right. So I'll give you a hint. I'm south of you.
You in Florida?
I'm downstate. I actually was sitting next to, we ate last night some horrible pizza, and it was like a communal table, you know, and I was sitting next to a dude and his family and some other dudes and their families. And he was like, "Where are you from?" And I couldn't understand him because he slurred because he was.
And you were like,
Because he had been, I think he'd been drinking a little bit. And I was like, excuse me. And he's like, where you guys from? And so I said, St. Louis. And he said, oh, we're from Western New York. And I said, my best friend lives up there. And he's like, he's like, where is he from? And I said, he's from Whitney Point. And they're like, don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
Don't know. And then the other guy said, oh, is that kind of by Bennington? How do you say it?
Binghamton?
Binghamton, yeah. And I said, yeah, it is for sure. That's it. And then we connected, we were friends then. Because I had a friend there.
Okay, cool.
So that was pretty cool.
All right.
Is it really echoey in here? Because there's no carpet and shit. It's like wood.
It is, but you can also back up from the mic a little bit. You're like, I'm like a tiny head on the screen, and you're like a huge head on the screen.
Why don't you
talk?
Well, you have a tiny head.
You sound perfect. Just stay there. You don't have to lean in. You're good.
Okay. 2 nights ago, I ate at Bartaco or Dope Ass Tacos.
You're in Nashville?
Maybe I was. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not.
Okay. Are you doing this for Easter, or are you just getting away?
Maybe I'm in St. Louis.
Okay, maybe not fucking tell me anything. How about that?
Yeah. So I know you had an interesting week though, because you did a little bit of R&D. How'd that go?
It went really, really well. Mike was here Monday and Tuesday. So he got here, and the first thing we did is we checked all the mesh and checked like the thread thickness and all that stuff, and dialed, seeing what was what and our tensions. And then we did a bunch of coding tests, coded a ton of screens, wrote everything down, got everything, as close as we could with what we wanted to figure out. And then the next day we burned a bunch of stuff, did step wedge tests, exposure tests, stuff. And once we figured out what the optimal everything was, we started doing print tests on press to dial in, getting the best laydowns we could with everything. And we tweaked a bunch of stuff, and now we're super happy with how it was. Luckily, like he said too, he's like, yeah, you guys weren't that far off as far as like how we were pre-press doing our screens. There was like a slight change we did. Like literally, I don't know if on your recipes on the Unicoat, like the top speed is like 60. I don't know what 60 actually is the measurement of, but like it was before at 55. So all we did is we went up 5 to 60 on our 140s. So we actually lowered the EOM on our 140s for our underbase instead of made it bigger. And then the 230s and 156s stayed the same. So there was no difference with our exposure as well. Like we were on the money with exposure, so we didn't have to change anything there. And then on press, we changed a couple things. We actually added, so we lowered our EOM and added off contact on press and sped up squeegees. So it was like all the opposite things you would expect, and it gave us the best possible white print.
So the 140s you said for an underbase, is that just for fleece?
No, we use 140 for all of our underbasing, RTUs and everything. Yeah. I
didn't know that. In fact, I thought we talked before and you were 158.
I was using 158s and I wasn't super stoked on the opacity. So we switched to 140s, which was funny because I had ordered from Frank probably like 100 158s. And then I wasn't like super stoked on how they were coming out. We still use them. We use them for top whites. But I ended up buying like another 100 140s because I was like, oh, I want to lower it. And then I had asked Ryan about it like after I ordered him. He's like, yeah, you should try like a 125. I was like, God damn it. I just ordered like another 100 140s.
I don't think 125. Are you talking about thin thread or standard for 125?
Yeah, hydro.
No, I think that's too low.
That's what I said. We're really happy with the 140s.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we ended up, like I said, we ended up doing a lot faster of a stroke and more off contact, and the whites are like, it's like a big difference.
Single stroke, right?
We're doing double stroke. We could probably do a single stroke depending on the print. We like a double stroke though.
Me too. Huh. Why?
I don't know. It looks better. And it feels good. So I'm happy with it.
Okay, but it's slower.
Yeah, but the speed's at like between a 4 and a 5. So it's pretty good speed.
Yeah, that's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if I like that.
We did a ton of tests and it worked out really good. So you can like one thing and you can get results in another hand. So
well, I mean, that's true. And I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying I typically don't like a double stroke for a lot of reasons. I know. One, it takes longer. 2, you can have some ghosting or smashing out, right? It's not crisp and clean potentially. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times if you slow the squeegee down, instead of a 4 or a 5, just slow it down a little bit, you can get the same or better result.
That's what we were saying, is that it's the opposite of what you would think, but we tried everything. Like we tried all different variations of slow and, pressures and all this other stuff. And we were like the most happy at, it was like 30 PSI and like a 4 speed and 1 off contact. Okay.
Well, if you need me to come up there, I can schedule.
You can come up here and we can show you what it looks like.
Okay. Okay.
I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah. So anything else? Like, did you have, what else was going on this week?
We have been in talks for a while of making a stock color chart, and Brian started it. Well, he kind of had it all laid out, but actually printing it Friday. So that should be done Monday morning. So
speaking of, our guest today is FloodPull, which I hope they didn't ruin it, but he once upon a time reposted somebody's, color chart print. Mm-hmm. Did you see that? You remember that as long?
I don't know. Maybe.
Check this out. See if it picks that up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what our screen looks like.
And so it says, now this is dedication. Want to have a sample reference of all your ink colors on actual fabric. This is how it's done. And that was posted by Silky Screens.
Yep. So pretty much what we did is we took all the Monarch colors, because all of ours are RFU, ready for use. So we can go directly out of the gallon instead of mixing a color. And then we had probably another, so I'd say that's like, I think it's like what, 21 or 22 colors. And then there's another like 25-ish colors that like we use all the time. Like even with the Pantone book and checking out colors, there's like on average, there's like 25 colors that we always pick, you know, like a 2995 blue or, you know, a 123 like yellow gold, like stuff like that we use like all the time. So we're adding those to the stock color chart too, so that we can see. So on the shirt, what it is, it's a smaller square with a white underbase. And then there's a bigger square of the color. So you're getting underbased and then not underbased. So you can see what dropouts would look like, or, you know, just what it would look like with an underbase. Like if the color shifts a little bit, depending if it's underbased or not. So, and we also did a shirt. Well, we have a bunch of shirts, but like a press full, but we did like a couple shirts with like a white flash white and a couple shirts with like single stroke white. So we can see the difference, but it's just good reference material for the salespeople and for the people in the office. I got a bike this week.
Oh, like a mountain bike?
Like a bicycle.
Hybrid?
Oh, I bought a 26-inch like a BMX kink BMX bike.
What does it do?
It has pedals and wheels.
Like for
ride it.
Like for tricks? Does it have like pegs?
No, it's just a bicycle. It's for riding. My problem is I have a road bike, like a regular, like tall road bike. And then I wanted something a little smaller because I can ride the road bike, but I have short legs. So when I get on the road bike, I have to like tilt the bike to get my body on it because I have short legs. Is
it a hybrid? So in other words, does it have like a little bit thicker tires so that you can go on gravel? You know,
it has like BMX style tires. Like it's
BMX.
Like a 20-inch bike, like a
like
bike
knobbies. Yeah, I said that a minute ago. I said like a trick bike, and you. Oh my god, dude! Seriously, let's move on. All right, so that's neat, Dylan. That's really neat. That's super rad. I'm happy for you. Why would you get a trick bike? You're like 35 years old.
You're not understanding. It's okay. Why are you being so secretive of your travels?
Why are Teslas so expensive?
Quality?
Because they charge a lot. That wouldn't. You don't get it.
I get it. I like your cheat.
Mm-hmm. Ready for this?
Mm-hmm. Prank.
It all starts with the screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the fucking best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFF.
F.
Rank.com. Or
greatfuckingscreens.com.
Mm-hmm. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Check them out at EasyWay.com. I think you're supposed to say that part, but that's okay. EasyWay.
It's the easiest way.
I don't know. I'm not myself now.
I can tell.
I'm leaning into the mic. This is a mess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? Oh, yeah.
Action and Monarch.
Yeah. So Action Engineering makes all kinds of accessories that printers need. Go to actionengineering.com to have a look, and then use Shirt Show at checkout and get a one-time discount of
15% off.
That's right. 15% off. They got a lot of red stuff. They have stuff. Monarch Color makes ink that does what it's supposed to do.
Hell yeah, it does.
Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink Breader.
Ink Breader. Be Breader.
Live, laugh, screen print, better. Be better.
Liv Moss.
Monarch. You don't like that, do
Monarch.
you? At all?
So botched.
I know.
I'm trying really hard to gauge what's going on here.
You know who we're chatting with today?
No, why don't you tell me?
It is Liam Flaherty of
FloodPull.
It is. I keep fucking all this up.
Did you do meth before this episode?
That's where we're at. We're in the Ozarks. You got me. And we are
Just
harvesting the poppies.
Right.
No, he is with FloodPull, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's located in the Pacific Northwest. Not sure. Oregon or something like that. But we'll find out.
We sure will.
We're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's here. You want to do it? It's a little early, but.
So you got nothing for your week?
Yeah, let's just skip it. Let's just skip the whole thing.
Okay. Well, it's good talking to you, bud. I'll see you later.
Okay. You just want to take this one? I'm going to sign off. You got this. You got this, man.
Cool.
By the way, it's my laptop's not connected to a power source. And so we're going to lose power. Hey.
What's up, dude? How are you?
Never been better. How about you all?
I don't know if Andy can answer that question. He's a little out of it today.
What's going on?
He was doing math.
Yeah, we are visiting the Ozarks, and that's what you do down there.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's the going pastime, I think.
Yeah. What are you doing today?
Man, it's been pretty mellow. We went out to breakfast this morning at our favorite diner, and
I love diners. Diners are my favorite.
You can't beat it. This one is down in the Village, and it's called Le Bon Bonnier. It's super French, but like...
Yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't go there because I wouldn't be able to pronounce it.
It's like super greasy spoon, though. It's like,
yeah.
Every sign's handwritten, and there's 4 people that work there, and it's never anyone different. They're always working. Like, it's a great spot. One of those places.
Like family members?
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, just one of those spots you feel really good about supporting.
I feel like...
What'd you have?
What did I have?
Yeah.
Bacon and cheese omelet with rice and beans. Crucial.
This is a weird ass diner. It's got a French name, super redneck on the inside, and you have rice and beans with an omelet.
Yeah, well, you usually get potatoes, but those of us in the know get rice and beans. Okay. It's a complete protein, and you just can't miss with it.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
When I travel, I try to go to a diner. Like, that's always my go-to. Like, I get up in the hotel and I'm like, where's the locust? Like, yeah, where's the locust? Where's the best? Yeah. Where's the best local diner? Like Greasy Spoon Diner. It's like my favorite thing. Yeah,
it gives you like the pulse of the area, if everything's super fancy and it's like brioche French toast and, single origin coffee or whatever, it feels like a little inauthentic, or like
I want like a fucking barely buttered piece of white bread and like 2 over easy eggs.
No, you don't.
And like a chunk of meat. Yes, I do. That's exactly what I want.
So you said the Village, and I don't think that's the Village in Portland. It's probably the Village. It could be the Village in New York.
Yeah. So I live in Manhattan. So
I got it way wrong.
The West Village. Yeah. Downtown.
Yeah. Earlier I said, I thought you lived in the Pacific Northwest.
I thought we knew each other.
See, I knew full.
You said something about Oregon before. So this must've been years ago. Did you ever live there?
He said his organ.
Yeah, no, I lived in Oregon for 16 years. We just moved to New York City in May. So,
okay.
Yeah, you had it exactly right.
Don't
what? I get one thing right every day usually. So this is good.
You can just stop now. That's enough.
All right. See you guys.
Thank God. See you, Andy.
So why? So that's a different coast now that you live on. And why the move?
Well, we had lived in Portland for 16 years and it was getting really expensive to live there. And we just sort of were like, all right, if we're going to be paying inflated rents, like
I was going to say, you're like, oh man, it's really expensive here. Let's move to New York City.
What's a few $100 more, you know? But yeah, so all of my family lives in the Northeast. I'm from Massachusetts originally. So it was the kind of thing where like, as parents get older and, you know, it's just nice to be like a 3-hour car ride away rather than like a, you know, 7-hour or 8-hour travel day away.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made the jump, and COVID, like, just, I feel like it scrambled everybody's brains a little bit. And we had 2 cats and they both died in like quick succession. So we were just like, all right, let's just like, we weren't going to move with senior cats because that seemed like a nightmare. Anyways, that all happened and we were just like, oh, let's just go. We've always wanted to try to live in New York City. So the time was right.
The weather's not much different, right?
Yeah, I mean, in Portland, it's like winter is just gray and rainy. Like New York City gets more rain than Portland does, like inch wise, but Portland gets rain way more frequently. So yeah, it wasn't much of an adjustment though. The humidity totally sucks. Like Portland stays really dry in the summer, and the humidity here was just like awful. Ridiculous. Yeah.
I guess you can work from home, or you started a new thing there. I mean, what did you do about, employment and jobs and careers and stuff?
Yeah. So my day job is I do UX design. I don't know, like if you're all familiar with that, but I basically design like web applications. So I currently work for a big insurance company, and because of COVID, we were remote anyways. And then when we moved, I told my boss, I was like, hey, I'm going to move to New York and work remote forever. And he was like, all right, cool. so we moved. So that didn't really skip a beat, which was nice. But yeah, so I basically spend all day in my apartment and just, stare at a wall. But it's a good spot to do it because we're close to.
So what's the design that you're doing for an insurance company?
So like the insurance company has like lending products. So basically I'm working on like an auto lending product, for example. So like the insurance company sells protection products. This is like all really probably uninteresting, but
no, tell us more.
I'm interested in UX stuff because I think it contains a lot of design, within it. It's not just that easy, because you want to make sure, and it's sort of the same thing we do at our shop. And I at least consider it when, with our website too, because you want to make sure that the user has a good experience. And I think we screw that up sometimes. And so it takes a good creative design to make sure that they have a good experience, in my opinion. Yeah. Really well said. And totally echoes, the important parts of my job. But yeah, it's like the whole idea really behind user experience design is that, you can make something look really, really pretty, but if it's not functional, people just won't use it or can't figure out how to use it or won't have a good time using it. So if you can make the user experience positive and fruitful for the user, they'll keep coming back, presumably. So it's super important. And I always try to describe to my family what I do. And I'm like, all right, so when you go on Facebook and there's like a blue button, I don't use Facebook, so this is just a hypothetical, but there's a blue button in the top right of the screen. And I'm like, somebody decided to put it there, and somebody picked the shade of blue, and somebody picked how it works when you hover over it. And they picked, they designed everything that happens before and after. So I'm like, that's what I do. And it seems, I don't know, to a lot of people, they're just like, well, you can just put it anywhere. People will find it. And it's like, you'd be surprised. People have a hard time finding and working with applications all the time.
I love how you describe what you do to family members with Facebook, because they're all on it and just bitching at each other about everything.
And that's the thing, dude. It's like, with UX design, it's like you got to meet people where they are, and it's like I know you're out there posting these like problematic memes, you know, like
Political views.
Hitting up everybody's wall or whatever. So yeah.
So go back, I guess, like how did you get started with screen printing? Like how did you get involved?
Dude, so I feel like it's a common story. I was in a band and we wanted merch. Like
No way.
a tale as old as time. Picture this. It was 1998 and 15-year-old Liam was in high school and I was singing in a metal band. I was one of two singers. So that gives you some idea of the type of decisions we were making.
Did you do the highs or the lows?
We both did the lows, dude.
Oh,
it was
all right,
like
good.
We had two singers that were just the same exact person. Just we both
just
wanted
one
to be
gets
in the band.
tired, right? Okay.
One's voice is blown out at the end of every show.
All right.
That was me. But so, anyways, we were in a metalcore band, and we were called Time to Rise. And I was like, shit, man, I want shirts, and I want people to be like wearing our shirts, and I want to sell this. I want to sell shirts, but I had no idea like what screen printing was, and I had a couple interactions with people that kind of like showed me the way. But like, I remember this kid, Pete, was walking down the hallway. He was in a metal band called Pagan, and he had a Pagan shirt on. And I was just like, dude, that's so sick. And cause he was a freshman, and I was like, where did this freshman get shirts for his band? So I asked him, I was like, dude, what's up? How did this happen? What kind of like magic did you go through?
But that should have been an ultra red flag, because you never wear your own band's merch.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You know, you're right. I'm gonna hit Pete up and say what's good. I'm gonna send him your way.
Good. Okay.
But yeah, so he was like, he looked at me like I was an idiot, and he was just like, just go to the silk screener in Lowell and give him some money and he'll give you some shirts. Like that's how it happens, you know? And I was like, silk screen. All right, cool. And then a friend of mine was wearing a shirt, like it said Taco, and it was the Academy Concert Organization. So it was like this cool little organization at the school I went to. And I was like, where did you get those shirts? Did you pay somebody in Lowell to make them for you? You know, I've heard that's a thing.
This guy.
And yeah, like that poser Pete told me about it. But she was like, oh, we screen printed them. And I was like, screen print. Okay. So I started connecting dots. I was like, screen printing and silk screening are the same thing. And then I went to art class a couple weeks later, and I had these two art teachers that were like the nicest people. I'm convinced they saved my life, because I was like such a dipshit, like bad student. I was like a super distraction to everybody, and I was easily distracted myself. And Mr. Hardy and Mrs. Yurkevich, they had art rooms side by side. They were so rad, because they just always met me where I was at and like treated me like I wasn't a dipshit.
Well, that's how art teachers are, because they get it, because they were dipshits too.
Yeah, exactly. All right, dude. Yeah, we're on the same level there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mrs. Yurkevich pulled me aside one day and she was like, do you know about silk screening? And I was like, funny you mention it. I've heard about this dark art. And she was like, well, we have this. They didn't teach silk screening anymore at the school, but she's like, we have this huge box of supplies. Are you interested in taking them home and trying out, you know, silk screening? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. And this was like I said, 98. So the box must have been in there since like 83. Like everything was dusty and old, but I was still into it. So I took it home, and there was some like drawing fluid and block out from that like Speedball made. And there was one screen that was like 10 by 13, and it had like 0 newtons of tension on it. But
and like 900 staples in the back of it.
Yeah. In paper tape, like all around the inside. It was gnarly, but it was like surprisingly open. There weren't like, it wasn't blocked up or anything. So I remember hand painting on the screen, like I wanted to make shirts for the band, and it said like, we have 30 minutes to end the world, or something like hyper corny. But we were like, you know, we were a metalcore band. So we were like, oh, this is like dark and deep. And Yeah,
Someone's going to see that shirt and be like side to side, front to back.
Yeah, exactly. So then I cut some contact paper out, like the stuff you'd line a shelf with or like cover a book with. I cut some stencil letters out. This was like Franken-screen because I had like contact paper and then I had the like hand painted letters below it. So I printed a shirt. Like I had procured some shirts illegally from an unnamed craft store. But I had like printed the shirts and I was just like, you pull that first print and you're just like the skies opened up. I was like, holy shit, I get it now, because I could do this 1,000 times and just have repeatable results. Like I'll see this same design over and over again. And it really like clicked with me of one, how impactful it could be just from a like spreading a message point of view, but also the commercial side of my head kicked in. I was like, oh shoot, if I could charge somebody to make these shirts, I could be like that guy in Lowell. So
the other guy.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, anyways, I sold, we had a show a couple of days later. I sold all the shirts. And then the following day, one of the dudes who bought the shirt came up and he had a blank blue shirt on. And he was like, hey, how do you like my shirt? And I was like, looks like a plain blue shirt. And he's like, yeah, you idiot. I bought this from you the other night. I washed it and all the ink washed off. And I was like, why'd you wash it? That's not very punk.
Very smart. Then, you're like, yeah. Duh, idiot. Why'd you wash it?
Yeah. I'm like, you didn't iron it first? Moron. And then I was like, oh shoot, I must have made a mistake. And yeah, then I went home and read the container of ink and it was like, don't be an idiot. You have to heat cure this or it's going to wash off. Yeah.
So you just stacked up a bunch of like wet ink shirts and sold them at a show?
Well, I kind of like, I had the sense to like, it was like water based. So it was dry to the touch, it was like speedball textile ink. So I kind of just like laid them all over my mom's basement after I printed them. And I was just like, next morning I was like, oh, these feel dry. I just thought like, I had no idea. Like, how would you know to heat set it if you hadn't done it before?
That's the worst is when you think, so the other day I heard somebody at the front counter and they were talking to a customer service rep or something. And they were talking about a shirt and he had it there with him in the shop. And he's like, yeah, it kind of, how do you stop it from washing out like this? And I was like, oh God. And just like, all of a sudden my heart started, beating. And I was like, what did we do? What's wrong? But he had brought in a shirt from a different printer. So I'm like, yes. But, I do, it's something we do every day. And I think it's really important to do, at least for our shop, in our climate. I think it's the climate anyway, because our dryer settings sometimes change. Whether it's, I have a hunch that like about 3 weeks ago, I noticed that our whites weren't curing quite the same. And I think it was because it all of a sudden got super humid again, from
you started opening all the doors.
I mean, that could be it, like something's different, something changed. Yeah. And so I was like, hey, I said to Daniel that we got to run the donut through and check our temps again and see what's going on. But it's the scariest thing in the world for shit to wash out. That's the last thing you want to be known as, like somebody says, oh, I got my shirts at ShirtCon and everything washed out. It's just the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you all like, how are you measuring the humidity in your shop? Are you measuring the humidity in your shop or just in the screen rooms?
So our shop is climate controlled. However, we haven't turned on the AC really yet this year, so it's sort of in that zone. In St. Louis, it feels like spring. And so it's maybe sometimes it gets by the afternoon, the mornings start out kind of chilly, maybe in the 50s or 60s, but maybe by afternoon they're in the 70s and it can jump up even to the high 70s with some humidity. All of a sudden that's way different than winter, And so, and it's not that I don't think the ink was going to wash out, but it would have maybe cracked or sort of washed out. It's definitely, cured to the touch, at least. Yeah. It's just, will it last?
Yeah. We usually check it in the summer because we're opening all the big roll up doors and everything. And you're getting a lot of like breeze through the building because we're opening doors on both sides. So instead of just the room being heated and there's no air movement, now it's like cross breeze going through the building and everything else. And that might mess with the dryer. So we only check it really, like I said, in the summer and in the winter, depending on what we're doing.
That's smart.
So you sold these shirts, they washed out. You were like, oh shit. Figured out how to cure stuff after that, I'm guessing.
Kind of. So I refunded everybody's money, and I didn't feel right selling shirts that were going to wash off when you
Right.
when you wash the shirt. So, so I kind of like, I hit this point where once I started learning about that, the process, and I kind of took baby steps. I would buy like speedball screens from the craft store, and, I got into the speedball emulsion, like diazo emulsion kit, and was doing like photographic stuff. And I was like, all right, this is cool. I can kind of find my footing. I started to get into like reading about Warhol and like Robert Rauschenberg and all these like screen printers that were doing the art stuff. So I started to find my kind of mode in between the commercial and art side of things. And I had saved up some money. So I was like, I'm going to send away. This was like the nascent years of the internet. So I was like, I'm going to send away for some brochures from a couple companies and see what kind of like shop packages are available. So I hit up like Lawson, M&R, Rain-R, and one other one, Brown or Harco or something. And like M&R was basically like in the stratosphere price wise, because they didn't have like a starter press. They had like a chameleon. And I was just like, all right, that's out of the question. I remember the other ones feeling a little bit like rinky dink. And then I kind of landed on Rain-R, because Rain-R was like, give us $6,000 and we'll give you a 6x1, manual press and a conveyor dryer and a exposure unit and a flash dryer and all the inks and chemicals and stuff that you need. So
like a ready to go kit. Basically.
Yeah, right. So my brother and I pooled some money and sent them a check, and we're like, hey, give us that starter kit. And when I gave him up my phone number, it must have been like off by a digit or something, because like 3 months passed and I hadn't heard anything. And I called them up and I was like, hey, where's my stuff? And they were like, oh, it's been sitting at the freight yard for like 2.5 months. It's about to get sent back to us. And so then I finally like get my dad's pickup truck and I go over there and I like pick up all the equipment. And like 2 days before Christmas, I slipped on black ice and concussed myself. So I should have taken it as like a sign from the gods to be like, don't do this, dude. Put it back on and let it get shipped back and get your money back. But we don't know. Yeah. Right. So I got the equipment, and it was clear I was in like way over my head, because I put everything together, and then I was looking at the platen being like, wait, the shirt goes on upside down? Like I had been printing everything so the collar was away from me. And this time it was
right.
Like,
you were just laying them flat and then bring on top. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I got the Rain-R kit, and that was when I like really was like, all right, well, shoot, I just spent, $6,000. I got to actually like start printing jobs for people. And that was like the beginning of kind of like the commercial side of things for me, where I picked a name and I started, just like recruiting customers, essentially, just like going to any like plumber, builder, anybody, just like making cold calls, just being like, hey, you guys need shirts? And
so what was it back then? What was the company name?
Oh, it was One Star One Star Screen Printing. So this is a funny kind of connection. So Dave from Northeast, he bought the equipment, and I've got a gripe with a story that he told on his episode.
Because I was going to ask you about that, because he was saying that he got it from you and then you left. So I want to hear your side of the story on that.
So 1 star, like 5 stars, but it was only 1 star.
Yeah. This is like pre-Yelp. In hindsight, it doesn't look so good, but yeah. So 1 star, it was like, I think my like yet to be fully formed brain was like, oh yeah, it's like, I'm the star. There's just one star running this show.
The best part is the fucking company comes out like Yelp with star reviews, and it's like 5 stars the best. You're like, fuck, like we're ruined. Like everyone's going to change in the scale.
Flip it around. It's
5-star prints. No,
1-star is
prints.
the best. 5-star is the worst. Okay.
And then they come out with the 5-star notebooks, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. No, I was cooked, dude. I was.
But that's it's pretty punk rock, though. I mean, it sounds. I mean, if you're cool, you would get it. Like, hey, that's kind of he's being funny, and that's cool. It was like, how you always see MVP gear and like, oh, the most valuable player. I always wanted to do a line that said LVP, like least valuable. Just because that would be.
You still should have, dude.
Yeah, maybe so. One day, that'll be it. It'll be a hit, and I can then.
That'll be your way out.
Yeah, exactly. I'll retire and that's that. But, and so at this point, were you all in and that was like your job full time, or were you back then doing UX stuff?
Yeah, no, that was pretty much my only gig. Like I was 16 at the time. So I was still living with my parents, and like, this only contributed to me. Like,
so you started a business at 16.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was like, thanks, man. Yeah. I was like super motivated. My whole family was like, we're entrepreneurs. So I had some really good role models in terms of, just people who had built businesses and ran them like crazy. And it also provided a really good in because my family's businesses were in like construction and HVAC, and those 2 industries were just like cash cows in terms of people who needed shirts made. So yeah, it worked out. But yeah, I was all in as much as I could have been, like still living at home,
I think at 16 I had a lemonade stand or something, but here you are printing t-shirts. That's really rad. So I wish I would have started way back then.
I started merch buttons at 17. But that was my first company. That was how I got into screen printing and all that stuff was when I was 17. So after I graduated high school.
And you were making like 1-inch pins?
I was making 1-inch buttons. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So I started doing that same thing. Like I just like started a business in the basement, and, I started outsourcing t-shirts and stickers, and then here we are today. Fucking
do you still do
17
buttons?
Years later. Dude, I have all the stuff, but like I never do it because it's a nightmare to do.
That's the worst.
Yeah. It's like, the thing is I get nostalgic once in a while, and I'm like, oh, we should like offer buttons to somebody, or we do a fulfillment store and someone's like, do you do buttons? I was like, yeah, we'll do buttons. And then we start to do them and punch them out like by hand and then like press them by hand. And I'm like, this sucks. Like I'm never offering these again. So I have like a tote with like all these different sizes and all these different parts, and I'll never get rid of it, but I'll never offer it.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like the companies that are doing it have that like little pyramid automatic machine.
Yeah. I always wanted one of those so bad. Like I remember being that small and being like, one day we'll have enough money to buy this thing. And it's like,
it gives me anxiety looking at the people loading it. Mm-hmm. It just feels like you could lose a finger super easy.
They're just like, design Mylar. And it's just like the machine's doing the rest.
And then it has like a magnetic arm to pick the button.
Throws it.
Yep. Too sick.
Well, hey, I wanted to mention though, that I was in the Teenage Entrepreneur Club with you guys.
As Dylan knows. MoPro?
Yeah, MoPro. Yeah.
What was MoPro?
I had a lawnmower that that I dragged around the neighborhood and cut grass. Yeah, like a pro.
MOW Pro.
Yes.
MoPro.
Yeah.
No, it was MO-Pro. So he was
that's what I was thinking.
He was MoPro than the next one.
MoPro. Let's go.
Should have been. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, hey, I mean, just look at us. Couple of teenage entrepreneurs. Who's better than us, right?
Exactly.
It's so cool.
This is where Chad has to edit in that Paul Rudd on Hot Ones. Well, just look at us. Look at us.
That was the motivation, man. I'm not going to lie.
Right. So
I think it's really cool though when you're super young like that, and like you really don't have bills, right? I mean, you don't have rent and power bills and all that stuff. And so you could go about your business, and if it fails, it fails, and so it's not the end of the world. You can start over and do something else pretty easily.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that was like a really valuable aspect of it, because I've always been firmly in the mindset of like, if you don't want to do something, just like, don't try to be everything to everybody. And I think sometimes in the screen printing world, like Dylan, you're talking about, where it's like people are like, oh, can you do buttons and, business cards? And you're like, well, shit, yeah, I guess I can. Like, I know the connections, and I can. Right. Exactly. So people would come to me and be like, oh, I want, like, they knew I had a 6-color press. So like, I want a 6-color front and a 6-color back and 3 colors on the sleeve. And I was like, nope, definitely not doing that, and it was the pressure, or the lack thereof, really was not there. So I could just be like, nah, give me like the 1 or 2 colors, like the less flashing I have to do, the better. Cause I'm sitting here just like sweating over a flash unit that I'm just like moving over the platen, and
because you got a single station.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how you were curing the shirts, with the flash.
No, well, kind of. They sold me a conveyor that was like 4.5 feet long, and it just had a flash unit it was called like a scamp or something. And I did the math. I would have had to run it like, I forget what it was. Like, I basically the shirt wouldn't be able to go all the way through the tunnel.
You couldn't run it slow enough.
Yeah, exactly. I would have to like fold every bit that wasn't the design underneath, and then, inevitably a piece of the shirt would scrape against the. So
you said it was called the scamp. It was really the scam, and they were like, "Oh, let's just put a P on it and call it."
Dude, I don't want to say anything. I had a really weird time with all that Raynor equipment. Like, you can edit this out. I don't want to hurt any future sponsorship opportunities, but
Raynor's knocking on our door.
I remember calling up because like one of the major reasons, the 6.1, they were like, oh, you can upgrade it to a 6.4. Nothing will spin, but like you could have like 4 stations, I guess. And I called up and I was like, hey, how much is an extra arm? Because my thinking was, well, I could have my friend come over and we could put the flash in between us, and I could, print the first coat of white, start flashing it, and send the screen over to him. He could do that. My flash would be done, and kind of like have this very kludgy, but still be able to like double my output. And the guy on the phone was like, hey, yeah, Raynor, what's going on? And I was like, I need pricing on another arm for the 6.1 press I have. And he's like, yeah, you don't want to do that. And I was like, it says I can, like, what's the pricing? And he's like, it's going to be too much. It's not worth it. I was just like, all right, cool. Like, hung the phone up and just accepted that to be the truth,
Yeah. It's like our first manual that we had was the silver press, and we got like 2 upgrades for it. We got micros for it, and we got it to where it was a 2 station. So it was 1 station like facing you, and then the other station was on the complete other side. So what we did is we just put the flash on the other side. So we would like print the shirt, spin it all the way. So you wouldn't like spin it 1 click, basically like 90 degrees. It would go like 180 all the way to the other side.
Oh yeah.
Flash over there, and then you would just spin it all the way back. So you would just like print, flash, print, or whatever.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And the silver press, that was Ryanet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, I wish Ryanet was around when I was getting started, because it would have been, there's like so many cheaper ways to get into it. Just other than plunking down $6,000 and just being like, this will be great,
Yeah, I had no money basically. Like when I came back from Georgia, because I worked at a shop down there. When I came back, I had next to no money because I spent everything I had on like moving back, because I didn't really like have any money to begin with. But like any money I had, like 2 weeks worth or 3 weeks worth of paycheck or whatever, I bought or rented a U-Haul with a trailer to like get all our shit and our car back. And then I had a motorcycle that I had bought in Georgia to like ride around and go back to work. So, and I was really like shitty to get rid of. Like I didn't want to get rid of it. But when I got back, that was my like startup cash for the company, was sell my motorcycle, take that like $5,000 or whatever it was, and I bought a Economax M&R dryer, a silver press, and a an Epic Willflex ink mixing kit. That was like all I bought. And I like got some like used shitty laptop. And like, that's what we started the company with was, okay, we can mix inks and we can order shirts when the customer pays. So, and we have a way to, cure shirts. So let's do it. So
how big was the Economax?
It's maybe like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 feet long, maybe. And it was, I mean, it had a little bit bigger of like an IR panel in it, but it worked. Like I literally just got rid of that thing like a year ago. Like I had it forever and it worked still when we got rid of it. It just was kind of like, we were trying to make space in the shop and I was like, fuck, I don't want to get rid of this thing. So this is like the original piece of equipment we had when we started this company. But I ended up giving it to a buddy who's local. So like, I know where it is, but we don't have it anymore. But no, it worked out great. And it was one of those things like, don't buy anything until you have cash to buy something. So it was like, we did a bunch of jobs, saved up money, bought like a different press or a different whatever. But that's what you do. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's sick, dude. I think that like the thing that caught me off guard with that was buying the mixing system. Cause it feels like that had to be a pretty hefty investment at the time, right? Yeah,
I think at the time it was, but I knew I needed it. So that was the thing is like I had worked at a screen printing shop. So, but I only did sales. So I just knew that like from doing sales and like making mock-ups that I was like, okay, customers are going to want Pantones. So I was like, I don't want to just buy like a gallon of white or a gallon of orange or whatever. I was just like, I know I need like white, black, and I need to be able to make any color I can make. So I think it was like whatever at the time, it was like $1,500 or something, but you could get like the whole kit with all your mixing colors. And then when we ran out of a quart of whatever mixing color, when you reordered, you got a gallon. So eventually you ended up with all the gallons once you ran out. But that was the best way that I could figure to start was to just like get the basics and go.
Yeah. So. No, it's a smart idea. And I think that spending time in a screen printing shop probably paid like wild dividends, even if you're just doing sales to understand how it works and what the best approaches are. Yeah. So for me, that was the best thing is like when I came here to start Upstate, I hit the ground running because I already had to me, the hard part is the sales, like getting a customer. Like, yeah, you can figure out screen printing and be like, I'm the best screen printer in the world. But like, if you don't have any customers, you're not doing shit. So for me, it was like, I can get the sales because I'm good at that. And then when they come in, well, the hard part for me was like, okay, let's figure out how to print these. So that's where like, just like tons of online research and all that stuff came in. But, I kind of hit the ground running. Like I had sales before I even had the shop set up. Like I had customers and I was like, just going to be like a month turnaround because like, I'm not even in New York yet. Like I'll be there. But so how did you guys, you just had that in with your family with like construction companies, or did you just start like cold calling? Yeah, a little bit of both. So like I had the family connection. So like, my dad, he was a house builder. So he would be like, oh, the painter said he needs shirts. Like I told him you do shirts. So call him, and I'd call a guy and he'd stop by with cash and be like, yeah, just give me like, 50, whatever. And, he would draw something on like a napkin and just be like, yeah, I want it to like, somebody holding a paintbrush or something, I'm just like, yeah, I got you. And then I just made some like, it's when it's happening, you don't really understand just like how valuable connections are and how valuable a network is. But I remember printing shirts for a pizza place in the town that I grew up in called the Silver Palette. And they were like, this guy, John, ran it and he was like a complete character, but he was like, we need 100 shirts. And there needs to be a guy spinning pizza. And I wanted to say, Silver Palette, the best pizza you've ever eaten, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that just turned into like, that dude was hyper connected. So he started running this, like he would make the sale and then send it to me, but he was like pricing stuff up enough where I was basically charging him what I'd charge a normal customer. He was playing like adding like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was rad. And it was one of those things. I had enough of those irons in the fire where I was basically doing no selling. I would just get calls from people to be like, oh yeah, Patty, the plasterer hit me up and said, you do shirts, and, they'd come my way. And, so then I turned that into a little bit like I rented a commercial space. It was just like 1,000 square feet, but set all my equipment up in there and tried to make it a little bit more professional. So people didn't have to come into my mom's basement to, pick up shirts or whatever.
It's funny you talk about that, because we actually had a sales meeting this week where I feel like me and Chris, when we started in the beginning, like I said, I did sales, and then I kind of brought Chris in to do sales, and I just said okay, here's a formula of let's think of a niche and be okay, we want to hit up roller derby teams, or we want to hit up bands, or whatever it was. And he just kind of had a script where he would constantly email or call and say hey, we want to do shirts. And we did that for a couple of years, but then it was all of a sudden we didn't have to do that ever again. It was literally all we do all day. And that's how this company has been until basically now, or I mean, it still does, but we can just coast on referrals and word of mouth. And that's all well and good. You can keep doing that. So I'd say probably for the last 8-9 years, we do nothing but customer service. Me and the team, the sales team, come in and just filter our emails every day. It's okay, we got this many quotes in, we got return customers, and we got people that referred from other people, or Instagram or something like that. That's our new sales thing. It's just people coming from Instagram. But we had a meeting this week, and we were we should start doing that again. And I thought of incentives. I was all right, let's do a commission thing, or whatever. If you guys want to get a new sale that had I didn't forward you or didn't come from the website, you hit the pavement and been hey, work with us. I was I'll give you commission on that first order. And we literally haven't done that since the beginning of this company. And the only reason why I'm saying to do it is because I bought, I invested in more people, and we're doing things way faster. And I bought another machine, and it's we could add more work. Right now we're comfy, but I feel when we get that new press, I'm going to be hey, we could fill this press. So yeah. I'm kind of hey, let's just go find new stuff. So it's funny.
I don't know, man. I would, I think, be careful what you wish for, because I'm just like you. So we grew, initially anyway, through that word of mouth. I mean, it's so strong, right? If you print for, you were kind of, speaking to printing for a lot of trade industries, and they were well connected, and they had, friends, and they were on a job site, whatever. And the plumber saw the electrician shirts, and they said, hey, I want, who did your shirts, And so we did that same sort of thing with schools for a while. If you do a really great job for one coach, they're friends with the other coaches, and where did you get those shirts? And so, ShireCon. And so we just spread like that too. And then I think that you come to a point. Yeah, Dylan, you said you're going to have some empty space on a press, but sales. I think outside sales are really tough. That's I think it's one thing to.
Oh, I know it's not going to be easy for them, but the thing is I don't want them to go for random shit. I want them to focus on stuff that we're already focused on. Say we're doing comic book stuff. I want to be all right, hit up more comic book shops, or more of the stuff that we're trying to do, so that we can get those in. Yeah, we could wait on referrals. That's fine. But why not be proactive when you guys have, if you finish your emails throughout the day at 3:00 and you got 2 hours to fuck around, maybe instead of fucking around, if you're incentivized to go get more of those customers, why not do that? You know what I mean?
So is there a commission aspect to the salespeople that you have right now? When they get just a reorder, or if there's
no commission now, because like I said, their job is to literally just field the emails that come in. Right. They don't really have to sell, because they're already coming to us ready to order. So they're coming to us, and all they're doing is making the mock-ups and getting approvals and making invoices and sending them off. So that's they get paid their hourly rate to just do that all day. But that's where I was okay, I know they, I don't want to be that guy, but it's just they see their email inbox in the day, and they're okay, I could make this work till 5:00. But now it's okay, if they're dedicated and they're okay, I can knock this shit out by 2:00. I could spend from 2 to 5 focused on like going after other people. And then I'm going to give them commission on those new orders. So like they're incentivized to get their shit done so that they can work on getting more stuff in so that they can make extra money on getting new stuff in. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, that's what I'm hoping, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
I'm guessing you asked because the commission structure's a tricky one to figure out, probably. I mean, I've tried to wrap my head around it and it makes my head hurt, but I mean, I'm sure there's definitely a way, because we have shops in the St. Louis metro that, they have outside sales reps, and they go and to like even schools or customers that are near us, and they, make sales calls to them. And because they're out and about, that gives them an advantage sometimes. I guess to clarify why I said, be careful what you wish for, is because I think for me anyway, I'm making a big shift. We've always been super hyper focused on customer service, custom screen printing at our front counter and getting all of those new accounts after new account after new account. But I am making a shift. I'm making a shift right now to, I love the business model, and I don't know, I would like to check in with some shops that are doing it, where we're actually closed. We're closed at the front and we schedule appointments, so we can schedule, like half-hour slots, let's say. You can come in and discuss your order with us and, and place it, instead of just wide open to the public all the time with all those interruptions. And I have to staff an entire team up front. And it's so hard to find people right now that I'm making a shift towards just larger accounts, like accounts that basically like partners, contract partners, not necessarily contract print, contractors, because I think that couldn't be really bad. You have to choose the right contractor. But when you have a contractor that really knows what they're doing, that gives you clean work orders and gives you, like fun art, and they pay a premium for fast service, quality prints. So they're not the contractor that, like, I don't care, just slop ink on there and then get it out the door. I'm looking for like partners that I can be less heavy on the customer service end of it, because it's just so hard, staffing all of that giant team that we used to have. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that your plan won't work, because it definitely will. It's just, I think that some of those people in their roles, you said they go through they do their normal role for 2/3 or 3/4 of the day, and then they're going to go out and do some sales. I think all of a sudden that may turn into more sales, and then they're getting pulled in different directions. Because I have people that, like, I have a girl specifically that was hired to be a brand account manager, and she doesn't really even get to do that anymore because she's helping at the front counter. And that front counter work isn't as lucrative as being a brand manager and seeking out and taking care of and printing for brands. And so it's just really hard. And so I'm trying to figure out a way. And I don't know that I have the answer, and I don't even know that I'm right. I mean, I could go after this and say, wow, this was super wrong, and I'm gonna do what Dylan says, But I'm just trying to go ahead.
I was gonna say, my only fear with like what you're talking about is then you end up with like, these, say you get rid of a lot of the other stuff, or you don't get rid of it, it just kind of fades out. So you know what I mean? You work with certain customers for years, or something happens and they go another route, or they go somewhere else because if they moved or whatever they're doing, eventually those people fade away. If you're like, okay, I want to invest in like 10 really good, like you said, these contract customers, and then you're like, okay, my bottom line for this is what I need, and everything else is dependent on these 10 people. And then all of a sudden something happens in the world where everyone gets this, like, this crazy thing could happen where everyone could get this virus. And then all of a sudden, like 5 of them go away or go out of business. And it's like, okay, cool. Your business is now reliant on 5 contractors instead of 10. So my thinking with this sales thing is, like I said, it's not necessarily that we need it. It's that I'm just trying to get into the same network and niche market that I'm in. I'm just trying to widen the net a little bit and get some that are more often. Like our meeting was mostly like, go find customers that are going to be like, like a good brewery where they're like, okay, they know, I know they're going to reorder like every 2 weeks. Or
well, okay. So that's more what I'm talking about. That's almost like a partner, because I guess more specifically what I'm trying to get away from is a brand new customer, 80 shirts, 200 shirts, whatever it is. You
might see them next year.
Yeah, or maybe never again. And you have to go through that whole process.
That's not at all what I'm looking for.
I really like the idea of, because you're going to have a point of contact with that brewery, and that same person usually is going to place the orders, and they're going to know how to do that. It's going to be really smooth. And sometimes there are even reorders, and we have that with a few. We run merch for a few large restaurant chains in our local restaurant chains. And it works really, really smooth. And we have we even put together a lookbook where they say, okay, well, I want to order this one again. And each location can order independently even. And it becomes pretty smooth. What I mean is that at Shirkong, we spend so much time with that new customer, and then that new customer sometimes never comes back. And I'm looking for, not to discontinue doing that, but just to shift over to, and maybe 10's the wrong number. Maybe you need, 30, just in case, like you said, there's something happens, you needed to diversify for sure. However, a lot of those accounts that we diversified, or that we have, that I'm talking about, they did really, really well during the pandemic because they had e-com going for them. Maybe their physical, they actually had a brick and mortar store, but and they just shifted to online sales. And so that worked out really well. And we benefited from their diversity, I suppose, too. You know what I mean?
So Liam, you did what you were doing, and then how, I guess, get to the point where you, I guess, are doing this really well, or it started to fall off, or how did you get to change things up?
Yeah. So once I got the commercial space, and once I had the equipment sort of dialed in, I was doing the best I could with it. I started to price out a package from M&R, because I was sold on, I need a chameleon. That's how I'll know I made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to the United States Screen Printing Institute, I think, now defunct for the last decade and a half or something.
I've never heard of that.
Really? Yeah. Uh-huh. So it was in Tempe, Arizona, and Scott Fresner. He ran it. So, so I was 17 at the time. I fly down to Tempe, Arizona. It was the furthest I've ever been away from home, and got a room at the Holiday Inn by myself. I had no idea what was going on, but there was 15 other printers there from all over the country. And they were they had auto shops, and they were full blown adults. And I was just I was hyper energized by the whole thing. It was the first time I had ever printed process. It was the first time I had ever printed sim process, and seen kind of how a manual shop could run, because they had it set up with 2 8x8 presses and a big beefy conveyor dryer. So that's where my head was at. I really wanted to get into that level of printing, and still was really interested in pursuing it as a career. And I started having trouble breathing when I was printing. My ventilation system sucked and all of this, but the spray tack and the solvents I was using at the time were really messing up my lungs. So I went to a lung specialist. I don't know what the proper nomenclature is, but
pulmonology.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But they had me breathe into that, apparatus where you're trying to keep a ping pong ball up, and all sorts of wacky stuff. But turned out I had developed what they called reactive airways. It was sort of like asthma, but not full blown asthma. So they gave me an inhaler, and they were you need to stop printing with, or stop being around what you're around, because it's negatively affecting your health. And that was a really kind of weird inflection point for me, because, I was 17 and I thought I was going to screen print for the rest of my life. And then I was oh shoot, now this is I can set up some ventilation, and but how into it am I? And kind of one thing led to another. My girlfriend and I at the time were we should move to California and just kind of see what happens with life that way. Don't worry about screen printing so much, let's go move across the country. So that's when I started talking to Quigley from Northeast, and we were he was really interested because he had no idea what he was doing in his life. And I was hey, I could, we can just transfer this thing. You can take the business over, and then maybe I'll go to California, decide I hate it and come back and we can run the business together, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's when I kind of like stopped printing day to day and started to transfer the business over to Quigley. So, but I had run the business at that point for, it was like when I sold it to Quigley, it was probably, I had been running it for like two years ish. So screen printing every day. And I really liked it, but yeah, I hit that inflection point where I was just like, I should try to do something else and see what else is out there.
So what did you end up doing then after that? Like what was your next step?
So we moved to California, like Orange County area. And I started selling weight loss pills over the phone.
That's a huge fucking difference.
I know, dude. It was like, it was dark.
I love how
days.
you just got done telling me like literally when you said your girlfriend at the time was like, hey, let's move to California and let's just grow our lives, like expand our minds basically. Yeah. And then I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're going to like go be like free and they're going to do this thing in California. You're like, yeah, I got there and I realized, fuck, I have to sell weight loss pills.
well, we had like a couple $1,000 when we moved out there, and we moved in with my friend Nick, who was like one of my childhood best friends. And we like lived in this kind of like smaller apartment and it was rad. But yeah, then we ran out of money and we were like, oh shoot, we got to get jobs. So my wife, my girlfriend then is my wife now. That's how that works. But she got the job at selling weight loss pills. And then I just was like, hey, I want that job too. And they were like, it was like a revolving door. So anyways, we both sold weight loss pills for like a month and a half. And
did you do this like over the phone or door to door? Or where did you sell them?
Over the phone. It was incoming. So like people would be watching late night TV and it would be like
like 85 easy payments of $4.99.
Dude, okay. So like morally, I've never felt so bankrupt as I did selling weight loss pills, because like the people that they're marketing to are people that really, really need like help, Right. They were like, basically just like, you don't have to lie. Just don't, it's like, it was herbal supplement. So it wasn't like any FDA approved anything.
So what was it? What was it actually? I mean, you don't fucking work for that company now. Let's trash it. What was it? What was going on?
It was called Cortislim. And it was just herbs that like they did studies and it didn't work, but they told us to say it did work. And then like Oprah was like, it doesn't work. So they would give us a script that says, it does work. Here's why Oprah's wrong. So anyways, that was a little period of time. And my wife and I both quit. We got the job through a temp agency, and my wife and I both quit on the same day and went to the beach. And it was like, this is what California living is about. But the temp agency called me up like the next day furious. And they were like, you can't just quit. Like, you can't just like not show up. And we were like, oh, okay.
You're like, you can't just fucking sell pills that don't work.
Dude. I should have given him your number, Dylan. That would have been the move.
Like, hey, dickhead.
So what was cool though, is my resume at the time was running a screen printing business and then selling weight loss pills. Like that's kind of all I had done.
Right.
I had some other jobs, but like not resume worthy. And the temp agency was like, oh shoot, we actually have a screen printing job if you're interested. There was a model airplane company in Southern California that they make scale models of like private jets. And like, if you go into an airport and you see like a big giant model hanging from the ceiling of like a 787, like the company that I worked for did that. So I got a job in the office doing separations, and we would do like 25 color separations for like All Nippon Airlines, who they were doing like a Pokemon jet with like Pikachu up at the front. And we would make basically the decals that you put on the plane. So there'd be like the windows and the door, and everything was like kind of like just this big, but we would do like 20 to 40 color separations, and they were printing enamel inks through like metal screens. on like these parallel presses that they had pulled all the safety equipment off of. So it was like, there was no bar to stop it from like sandwiching a human. Luckily it never did while I was there. But, so that's where I really got into it. It was nice because I could still be in like the screen printing realm.
You were involved, but you didn't have to have it in your face.
Totally. Yeah. So that's where like I learned how to use Illustrator like a madman, and just really got more exposure to the industry, because they were running 3 shifts, and it was like super quick turnaround, and it was no joke. So I got to continue kind of like my screen printing experience through that, which was really nice. But we hated California. It totally sucked. So for us, I'm sure it's a great place, but so we moved up to Oregon after like a year, and I continued to do the separations remotely. So that was pretty sick. And it allowed me to stay in the screen printing world without having to, like you said, be all up in it.
So how did FloodPull start then?
Yeah. So FloodPull, like I moved to Oregon and continued to do the model airplane separations. And then I met this dude, Jared, and he was running a record label called Tender Loving Empire. And
perfect.
Yeah, dude, it's so rad. They're actually like a complete juggernaut now. It started as this little tiny kind of like, commercial space rental. And now they've got like a shop at the Portland airport. And
okay.
Yeah. Totally
I'm glad I didn't say what I was going to say then.
Okay.
I was gonna be like, that sounds like a porno record company.
Yeah. I mean, it does. And I think that was kind of like, I don't think they had aspirations to be a porno record company, but I think it was sort of like, it's provocative at the very least. People would be like, what the hell's that?
Right.
So he wanted to start up a little like screen printing setup. So I met him just kind of in passing one day, and I was like, oh, hey, you screen print? And he's like, yeah, I could use some help though. Like, so I worked with him and I helped him figure out how to build an exposure unit. And I helped him learn how to I taught him how to print posters, how to register paper and all of that stuff. So I got to keep my hands in it that way. And at the same time, I started to get into like the UX world. So I was kind of doing, you were
consulting.
Yeah, exactly.
You were getting into the other thing as well.
Yep. Yeah. So, so I was consulting and kind of I was helping little shops get up to speed of just like, here's how you code a screen, and, all those little things that, that people there weren't really great resources at that point to learn how to do. I would help them figure out. So FloodPull was basically the culmination of all of that experience I had to that point, where you said something in one of the other episodes, Dylan, where you said like one of the reasons you started Shirt Show was because you were having like meaningful, fruitful conversations, and you and Andy were like comparing notes, but nobody else could hear it.
Right.
So you wanted to lock them in carbonite and share them with everybody.
Yeah.
And FloodPull was really the same kind of idea for me, where I just wanted to take it. Legitimately was just going to be a couple short videos on Instagram where I was like, here's how to use masking tape to create registration tabs. So when you print paper, you can more easily register it. Or, here's how you can print 2 colors on one screen using a masking tape dam, essentially. Mm-hmm. It was all like very like DIY stuff that I had learned, but I was just like, anybody I talked to that was into screen printing, sometimes I'd say this stuff and they'd be like, oh, I didn't even realize you could do that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to create this resource and see what happens with it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it kind of grew its own legs, where it, I started it.
I've always loved it. Like, I always just loved you're kind of doing you're basically doing like an artsy, like you were a screen printer and you're just kind of like still in love with the craft and the art, and you're just doing it for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I don't know if y'all went through this, but like learning how to screen print was like a really weird time for me. And I spent a lot of time at like having the 2 a.m. SADs. I don't know if that resonates with you all, but like, you know, like you commit to doing something for somebody. You're like, you know, your first order of 100 shirts, and you're like, all right, perfect. I know how to expose screens, and I know how to print shirts, and I know how to cure them. And then something happens and you need to deliver the shirts tomorrow morning and you can't figure out what's going wrong.
Yeah.
And you get the 2 a.m. SADs. So like with FloodPull, I was like, I want to at least be a place where if you Google like, oh, my ink is drying in the screen, like what can I do to help with that? Mm-hmm. I wanted there to at least be some resource, or like, you know, what black ink should I use if I'm printing posters? Like having something out there that could be like a reference point for people to help them feel at least like a little more supported or not alone. Like it sounds dramatic, but I fully
get it. Yeah, I fully get it. And I love it. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like that's why a lot of printers gravitated toward it too, because it's like little things. Like it's like those little, it's like those little nuggets of information that like you don't always think about, but you're kind of like looking into it and researching it and putting it out there. And that's why I said it's one of those things. Like I always look at it and liked it. And you were like testing things, or you're just like doing things that like not everyone would do. You'd be like, let's test all the black inks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like stuff that you have time to do that because that's what you're interested in. And the other thing of it too is like you learn to craft. Like as much as people don't think of screen printing as like a trade or whatever, it's like you learned the trade and then you couldn't do it anymore for health reasons, or you found another career. You still have that knowledge from that trade. And you're like, I still like the trade. I still want to do it. Just can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's
for sure. Thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And that's exactly it. You know, it's like, I still love it. And that was a hard part. Like I could have kept going probably, you know, where like at the time it was just what was available to me and what was in my purview was like, you know, spray tack and, you know, some crazy hot solvents that as soon as they touch your skin, you could like taste them, you know, like that level of like poison. Yep. So, you know, now with like the like palette adhesive, you can just like squeegee on, or, you know, any sort of like non-toxic chemicals and stuff. Like, I think there's a lot more avenues to it, but it's been good, you know, and I think what gets lost sometimes is like, I get a lot of action, or I should say like when FloodPull is active, like I get a lot of feedback, both good, like people that are like, dude, this is sick. I've always been wondering how to do that, or I'm thankful that you did that. And I get so much of the other side where people are like hitting me up and like, you know, don't tell people to buy cheap screens. Like, do you know how important thread diameter is? I'm like, yes, but also like, I just made a drying box out of cardboard, you know, like I'm not like, I'm trying to appeal to a group that doesn't have to worry about thread diameter yet.
Yeah. And that's the thing that with this industry is that I feel like there's a huge part of it that's art, and there's a huge part of it that's manufacturing. And the manufacturing people are just like very like sciencey, and they're like, we have to run it this exact way because we have to hit these numbers and we have to do this exact way. And then there's the other people that are like, I'm doing manufacturing, but I also really care about the craft and I want to like just like do rad shit all day long.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's that happy medium, and there's the people in the garage that are just like onesie twosies doing jobs here and there for extra money that like want to do the art, but also like just don't care about making it a huge manufacturing business. So fuck those guys. That's all you gotta say is like, hey, if you don't like it, don't fucking, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I need you need to be like my my front man. I'll just like talk to Dylan. Okay. You know,
you got something negative to say.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Hey, I kind of look at you as the Martha Stewart of screen printing.
Okay.
And I say that
like how she went to jail.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten to that part of the story yet, but no, the you sent me a long time ago a squeegee, a printata, so a pinata, and there's one. Dylan has one up there too. But you sent it to me. You posted something about, hey, I'm making this thing, and I'm going to give it away, and I wanted to give it to somebody who has a good use for it. And we were turning. I think at the time we were getting ready to have a birthday.
10.
Okay, and so you sent us one, and not only is it an amazing creation, but it came in this box that was, you had probably spent 6 hours building, and it's very Martha Stewart of you, and it was perfection. And what I did, and it was so good, in fact, that I didn't even have the heart to break it. Like, I wanted to keep it intact. I didn't want to smash it, like fill it with candy and smash it and ruin it.
No fucking way. No way.
I always wanted it, and I know that's what you're supposed to do with them, but I just couldn't do it. And so instead I made this video of using, I acted like I was printing with it. And then I had this Aquabats shirt on. And then we went to White Castle, and we just dumped burgers all over my head in burger rain. And I think people were, reposted that, and people were commenting like, I don't know what's happening, but I like it. It didn't even really make sense or anything. But that's the only thing I could think to do with it, is that I just didn't have the heart to break it. It was so beautiful. And it still is. I
fully agree. And it's like the packaging for, like, you even just sending us stickers. Like, not only was it like an off-brand, like blue envelope, but like our address on there was something you had made, and like your squeegee. And there's this box that we don't know what's in it yet because we haven't opened it, that like you fully fucking branded everything on the box. Like, and that's one thing I don't know how to do, is like, you put a logo on the UPS label.
Yeah. I just, I downloaded the PDF from ShipStation. That's what I use for shipping. And I open it in Photoshop, and then just
and then you add it. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, dude, open it? Like, are we opening these now? Hey,
now watch us open it. Watch us open it, and it's like nothing Martha Stewart like at all, and it's just really shitty.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, hold on, I'm not there yet. I don't know how to open it.
So the
I have an open bag of chips, I think, which is
okay.
Which sounds really good.
That's very Martha Stewart of you.
Yeah, very Martha Stewart. So I'll say that I had to ship Andy's 2-day air because this all happened very quickly, right? I had a little note to myself that if I was ever on the Shirt Show, my favorite podcast, that I was going to send you guys what I was calling the FloodPull Shop Snack Spectacular. So what you're holding in your hand,
that's what this is. FloodPull Shop Snack.
Mine's not open.
Yeah, because all right, so Dylan, you got yours ground. I was researching that if I shipped Andy's air, his went 2-day air to get to your shop in time, that there's like a 50-50 chance that the bag was going to explode. So
really,
from being in the air,
from being in the air, I guess you can only ship chips ground dependably and not have them.
Dude,
explode.
have you ever been in the airport and bought Pringles and then taken them on a plane and the top is like domed?
Yeah, dude. So,
no way. It truly did happen. It exploded.
Yeah, it exploded.
Yeah.
That's
funny. Which has got to just make you feel like you really want to dig into those.
You know what's
chips.
funny about these chips is I love these chips, but the logo always looks to me like she's got a serrated knife.
Oh yeah, no, she does actually.
I never think that it's a bag. I always think that it's just like her holding a knife.
Yeah, it's a serrated knife.
And Dylan,
you don't know how Utz started? They were just gluten-free.
Gluten-free. What else?
But yeah, all right. So a little bit of background. Everybody except for my wife, everybody I told that I was going to do this was like, what an awful idea. Like, nobody wants to hear anybody eat anything on the air. So no pressure to eat anything, but I wanted to send y'all, because I know like Andy, I've seen him.
We have to do a taste test of each of these.
Okay, dude, I love where your head's at. Okay. Because that's what I wanted to do.
All right.
I just didn't want to pressure y'all.
Oh, you're not pressuring me. I'll do it right now.
What's that?
All right. So those are the
these are boner pills.
Dang it. Sounds good. Those are all right. So those are the Meiji Apollo strawberry. I mean, do we just want to dig in? Do we just want to?
Yeah, we got to do
the
it right
chase?
now. Yeah.
You have some there too?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Come on. So these are the Meiji strawberry chocolate Apollo, and I can't get a straight answer on what they're supposed to be shaped like.
Cool. Well, I can't open it, so that's cool.
I guess I could use it. I got it. I just got
the
it.
box cutter that I opened it with.
I know that's what I got. Box cutter life.
Ready?
Yeah. So
you're
slow down.
How long? When you take one, how long does the boner last?
4 to 6 hours.
Dude, I could.
Okay.
Get ready.
It's gonna be a rough night. If I eat this whole box,
4 to 6 hours per.
These are just
candy?
nipples. These are just cut off nipples. Is all these are.
So the three things I heard were Mount Fuji, an umbrella, and the Apollo space capsule. So they're pretty good. They're supposed to. Some of the boxes have a star in them. So if you got a star in your box, that's supposed to be good luck.
That's what she said.
So
you know what
right,
these taste like? You ever had a chocolate orange where you it looks like an orange and you smack it and you eat this?
Yeah, this is chocolate strawberry, Dylan.
Yeah. Well,
I'm playing around, dude.
Yeah. See, Andy never does that to me, and I appreciate so much that you just talk shit back to me.
No,
it's my favorite.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's like very okay. So just quick score on these. What do you got? 0 to 10.
These are delicious.
1 star.
That's the highest, right?
Nice callback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I give it a 9.
A 9.
No,
okay.
It's a rookie score. Hold on,
rookie score.
Rookie score. I'm gonna go an 8.7.
8.7. Okay. So you wouldn't travel to get it, but it's if it's
I would eat it if someone gave it to me.
Got it. Perfect.
I would have another one because
I eat 2, so I'm gonna have a boner for 8 hours.
I mean, they're good. It's a good little snack.
Yep.
That's a solid 8.2.
8.2, respectable score.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, it's very respectable. It's tough to get.
All right, what are we doing next?
I have these.
I mean, first things first.
Want.
I give it an 8.6, just for the record.
Oh, okay. So you're closer to me, 8.7. All right. We're on the same page.
Yeah, you want to do the. What do you want to do next? Yeah, Friedels.
Friedels?
Okay. Yeah. So these are freeze-dried Skittles.
This looks like the old people like murder candy they leave like in a little dish.
Well, I wish you wouldn't have spoiled the surprise, Dylan.
They're actually Skittles.
He's gonna kill us on the episode.
And they exploded. Look at that.
Yeah.
Much like my chips.
Dang it! Now I feel so bad. It just wasn't going to get to you on time if I didn't ship it air.
So these are freeze-dried Skittles?
Yeah. It's like, think about it as like astronaut ice cream, but Skittles.
Dude,
not
these are
chewy,
amazing.
but crunchy.
Yep.
These are super good.
Yeah, these win. These did better than the chocolate oranges.
Dude, I'm doing 9.9.
Whoa. 9.9.
These are really good.
There's not much better in the whole world.
I didn't want to say 10 because I just don't want to be that guy.
Do we like the name?
Yeah.
Friedels? Doesn't remind you of Beatles?
Well, I like it.
Can I pitch some other names?
Dude, these are amazing.
Where do you get these at?
I got them off Amazon.
Okay.
I think Friddles would be a better name, or Friddles. What do you think? I'm just workshopping. I mean, just throwing some ideas out.
I was starting to read the back just to see what it was like, some of the wording on the back. And then it says below, it says Best Buy 12/31/2030.
Okay. Yeah, dude. So
pretty good for like 10 years, basically.
Yeah. I was Googling how freeze drying works. And it's like, basically you freeze whatever it is, and then you put it in a vacuum chamber and it sucks out all the moisture, but the moisture never turns back into water. So you get like, there's no moisture in these things. So they can last forever.
I love freeze-dried ice cream, like the astronaut ice cream.
Dude, I remember getting that at the Museum of Science in Boston when I was a kid.
Ice cream sandwiches.
Being like, I'm in 20, might as well be 20 2200, you know,
Right.
I'm like,
Yep.
this is the future. This is what all food's going to be like.
Well, now that I have a 8-hour boner and I'm going to just eat the rest of this bag of
So
Skittles.
Dylan, you said 9.9. Andy, what's your score on these?
I liked it better than the Apollos. And I can't remember what I gave the Apollos, 8 something. So a low 8. So I'm going to give this higher 8. 8.8. Yeah, 8.8.
I am 1,000% going to go on Amazon and buy a bunch of these.
Yeah. You can get better pricing on Etsy. I don't know if you're boycotting Etsy at the moment, but
Why are
check
we
them out.
boycotting Etsy? What do they do?
I guess they're taking more seller fees than they should.
Oh,
But dude, check out, they make freeze dried Starbursts and freeze dried. They freeze dry every candy you can imagine. These were the ones that were most available. I would have sent y'all freeze dried Starbursts.
well, hold on. I got to change my score.
Go ahead.
I give a 9.9 for the actual candy. I give a -4 for this fucking logo.
How can you say that about Salt City Treats, man?
This looks like a mashup of just like white lady art that like live, laugh, love people.
Yeah. It's a
This is
free
terrible.
font for sure.
It's
That,
like mountains in the background with like a script font, and then there's like 5 different typefaces on this logo, and then there's just like random arrows for no reason.
It's what the kids are into.
All right.
Not really, but I give them a 2.2 because of the name.
Yeah.
It would be a 9.8 if it
Right.
wasn't for the awful name.
Guys, I'm running out of time and I have to move on to shop hacks and questions and stuff
Well,
like
I'm gonna
that.
eat this. I'm gonna eat this one while we do that then.
The
Because
coffee crisp.
I'm not giving up on the snack.
All right. I totally appreciate that. How much time do you have left, Andy?
I think we're good for like 30 minutes ish or so.
Okay, cool. I'll just go through half of the shop hacks then. No,
The problem is you just lost so much like blood from your brain from eating those Apollos.
the next 4 to 6 hours are going to be a real minefield.
All
How
right,
many
well,
shop hacks did you have?
Oh no, I have like, I just have a couple.
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm mostly joking, but we just need to talk more so we can, establish that. One of the big tips I give out on whenever people hit me up about problems that they're having printing water-based inks, in the context, a lot of what I get on FloodPull are people who are printing like posters or just getting into printing water-based inks for the first time. And when printing water-based posters, I like to recommend pre-wetting the screen. I don't know if y'all pre-wet the screen when you're printing water-based textile inks, but I mix, and this is where it's super DIY. So please do not DM me and tell me how much this sucks. But there's a cleaner called 409, Formula 409. And
I have that mixture.
Yeah.
Saved on my computer.
Heck yeah. Yeah. So I mix it like kind of like 70-30, 80-20 water to 409. And then I pre-wet the screen. I learned that from like an old school printer who was just like, the first time I printed water-based ink, I like pulled the first print and I was like, oh, that's sick. And then the second print, just like everything tightened up and it kind of had just like, it was consuming itself. So pre-wet the screen. That one's one of my faves. Let's see. I wrote buy the extender, and that's more of like an ethos where I know I just said spray 409 on your screens, but like, I think part of the problems that people run into with screen printing is like, there is a relatively delicate chemistry that you have to be aware of, or at least respectful of. And I think that a lot of the times you'll hear people, some like old salt printer that's like, oh yeah, if you put a little gasoline in the plastisol ink, it'll work wonders. And it's like, no, like stick to whatever the company is selling. Like buy the extender. Don't look for like a way to save a few pennies to like make your own or to like cut the ink somehow. Yeah, I wrote know the variables and get specific. So I'm kind of just hitting you with the speed run. But one of the things I always try and, people will hit me up for advice and they'll be like, hey, my screen's washing out. and I can't get a good burn or whatever. And I'll say, okay, like what's the humidity in where your screens are, knowing full well there's probably not a screen room. And they're like, oh, the humidity is fine. I think it's something else. And one thing I always recommend is like, if you can control or at least understand a variable, you totally should. Like you can buy a hygrometer off Amazon for like $9. That will tell you the humidity in an area.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm always hitting people with is just like spend a little or take a little time to understand the variables that may contribute to the problem you're having. And don't be quick to just say like, oh, no, it's fine. It's probably something else. Because it's like you're having a problem because you don't know why. So it's really cool if you can have an answer. So if you call up your emulsion manufacturer and say, I can't get a good washout, they're like, what's the humidity? And, when you can give an actual number, they can help you. So it's like, help other people help you.
Well, it's like I said, it's like we said before, is it's an art, but there is also a lot of science behind it. Totally. So like you should know most of the science first, and then you can do the art part after. Because like once you can control as many of those variables as you can, you're going to have a lot better luck doing all the other shit. And this is a 6.8, by the way, this
6.8
coffee bar. It's what was it? Coffee Crisp?
Coffee Crisp.
It's delicious, but it's
official candy bar of the NHL.
Okay. Cause I had 2 bites and I'm already like, man, I don't know if I want to finish the rest of this because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And
sounds really good.
I kind of want to just go back to the Skittles.
Skittles. They're Friedels, bro. Respect Salt City Treats.
I changed it. Fuck them. I'll make it my own. Call them Skittles.
And then the last shop hack I'd say is get a password manager. Like I used 1Password. And I've just like the stress it gives me when shops are like running in a way where they need to access a bunch of like, whether it's your shirt distributor or any accounts, like get a password manager where you can securely share passwords with people in your shop. And
you can just use a Google Doc.
Yeah. The super secure alternative. But yeah, that's one I recommend. And that's a drum I'm constantly hitting of just like, even just for personal life. Like, I don't know if y'all use password managers, but you should.
Yeah, I totally don't use a Google Doc.
I've been team 1Password for like a decade. So
and it's password
I have to use
1, 2, 3.
What's that?
It's password 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Capital P.
Well, sorry. The software is called 1Password. And I manage like 200 passwords inside of 1Password. I know it's confusing, Dylan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Big words.
Yep. The Apollo is working on you.
Yeah.
The blood's leaving the brain.
So much blood left. All right.
I second that, though. That's really good shop hack. I mean, a lot of people, especially as your team grows and you scale, trying to keep track of those passwords and then where do you keep them and how secure is it and all of those different things. It's we were hacked about, I think it was last summer, and it was
God, that's intense.
it didn't really cost us. We were lucky, but it could have been far, far worse. And so we grew up and we took care of that. And it is it's a great shop hack.
Right on.
It's a smart one.
I'm pretty sure we have these pickles in the fridge.
They're the best pickles in the game. Started by a hardcore kid from the Northeast. So
nice. Hell yeah.
You know it's good.
Oh, I'm gonna eat one. Do you have any questions for us? Do you have like 1 or 2 good questions?
Yeah.
Hit me with it.
I mean, I have a ton of questions. What's the myth about screen printing that needs debunking?
So it's easy. I don't know. It's the first thing that comes to mind is everyone always says that like you worked really hard on it, especially like live printing. You know what I mean? Like you show up and you've got like a small version of everything. And then someone comes up and they're like, oh, that's it. That's all you got to do. And it's like, how about I fucking kill you right now? Was that all you got to do?
A little aggressive. But yeah, sure. You're like, live printing's not going so well. I don't know why.
I don't understand. Like, I'm personable.
Andy, what do you think? What's the myth about screen printing that needs debunking?
I think Dylan's right. That's one for sure, because, whenever I tell people that's what I do for a living, they always think, oh, you just like stamp the thing on the shirt, and it's done. And so it's definitely hard, but I think, do you mean screen printing a shop, like a business, or do you mean the actual, just the art of screen printing?
I mean, I think however you interpret it, but
okay. Well, then the myth about owning and running a screen printing shop is that the screen printing is actually the easy part. The running of the shop is incredibly complicated and difficult, and takes a massive toll on your body and your brain over the years. And I mean, and that's just the reality. And so that's one of our questions we always ask in our quick takes is that, 2 presses or 10 presses. And I think that, there's a reason why it's a designed question, because, and honestly, I can almost reword it to say 1 press or 10 presses, because there are many times, in fact, even recently, that I've considered just downsizing, because, and it's not that, and I've been on, a more than 1 press shop for a long time now. And it's just, and I love everything about that, but there just comes a point, where you sometimes wonder if it's all worth it, and maybe I'm there right now, wondering if it's all worth it.
Yeah.
And then he shuts his computer and walks away.
And that was the last time we saw him. I think it's super valuable, though. I think that's like, I think especially in the screen printing world, where it's just like, most businesses too, where it's like, it's just like a treadmill, like it never stops. And I think at some point, like you need to figure out what works for you and what's sustainable and like what's not going to drive you nuts, because like all the money in the world would be really sick. But like, if you're just miserable and, all the negativity and all the stress that you're taking isn't like, you can't get out of it, then like money doesn't solve that problem. So I think it's a really valuable question and something you should always be checking in on for sure, especially in the screen printing world, because it can get hectic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of why I'm not at the shop right now. I had to step back. I had to step back from the shop a few days ago, and I don't know when I'm going to go back, but I stepped away because I was at sort of a dangerous spot. If I'm being real here, I was sort of at a dangerous spot in my head with the shop. And there was this artist I heard about one time, and he had all of this, he painted this collection, and he was really proud of it, but then he was over it. He was ready to move on to a different part or a different phase, right? And instead of selling it or giving it away or anything like that, he burned it. And I was like, oh, that's that's badass. Like I would, mad respect for that. And I'm not saying that I'm going to burn the shop down, but I had a part of me that was okay with just saying, that's it. We're closed, and liquidate the fucking place, and I'm done. Like and I don't want to do that. And I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I actually thought those thoughts for a second, like that's messed up. All this work to get to where I am now. And I'm going to basically lock the doors and liquidate the equipment. So I had to step away. And also stepping away is, I think, pretty perfect timing, really, because the team in place, we've made a lot of changes recently, and people have taken on different roles. And it just sort of gives them a chance to, test some of those new roles without me being there. And so it sort of, it does that too. So yeah.
Oh, dude. I mean, I appreciate that vulnerability. And I always think that that's really valuable, the way that, in your Instagram posts where you always keep it real, of just like, they felt like it sucked, had veggie burgers for dinner, tomorrow's another day or whatever.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of value there. And certainly for me, it's like not meeting you until today. And sorry, which one's Dylan and which one's Andy? I need to know who.
I'm Dylan. Yeah, I'm Dylan.
I thought that was funny that people didn't know who was who, but I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think that there's a lot of value in being real. And I think you're in an industry particularly where you have the support and everybody can relate. Anybody who's run a shop for any amount of time has wanted to like lock the doors and burn it down, or like lock the doors and liquidate whatever, So I think it's good. I mean, good for you for stepping away for a little bit just to kind of gather your thoughts.
And all I got to say is, if your shop accidentally burns down in the next week, you are so fucked right now, because it is on record that you're like, burn it down.
Yeah, that'd be bad, right?
Who's the person that edits this? Like Chad?
Oh, I recorded on my phone as well, so I'm just gonna send this to the police if that thing burns down. So
okay, well, I'm not in St. Louis, and so it's gonna be pretty tough to.
This is a nice alibi.
To find me guilty.
Hold up the newspaper so we can verify the date.
Well, Good question. You got any more?
Yeah, dude. Let's see. If you got maybe a weird follow-up, but if you got $100,000 dropped into your business tomorrow with one caveat, you can't save it, how would you spend it?
I don't know, because I just spent like that. Like personally or for the shop?
For the shop.
Oh, that's not as fun.
You can't buy a Corvette.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you could buy a Corvette for $100,000.
If it was for the shop, I would probably, like, free money. I just get like won the lottery for $100,000.
Yep.
I'd probably do some fun shit. I'd probably put in like a zip line and put in like a mini ramp and
Fantasy Factory.
So there's like $1,000. So I got $99,000 left. Snacks, barbecue every day.
Yep.
I don't know. I spend a lot of money every year
for everybody.
On fucking Skittles for everybody.
Skittles.
I spend a lot of money every year on like updating the building and buying equipment. So
just continuing to do that.
Yeah, just continuing to do that. So like right now, like I'm thinking about getting a DS, and that alone is going to be more than that. So
right.
I guess I could just take that money and put it toward that. But I'd like to do, like I said, if it was just money that rained from the heavens and I was like, I could use it for whatever, I'd probably just do a bunch of fun shit with it. One thing we were talking about getting this year that I really kind of want to do is buy a blob. Remember those like where you take it to the lake and someone fat jumps on it and launches somebody skinny? So I'm going to be the jumper. Yeah. So we're legit thinking about getting a blob and like taking it to the lake and just like telling people in town, like, hey, we're here. If you want to come fucking get launched, Dylan's jumping.
Sign me up.
But again, that's like, like $1,000. So I'd have a little money left over. Buy everyone a boiled hot dog is what I would do.
All right. Andy, what would you do?
That is a lot that's like 100,000 boiled hot dogs, probably. I really like that answer. It's just the same. I think that, equipment wise, expansion wise, all of that stuff, we're there. We did so much recently. I was trying to think like, was there a piece of equipment that I want? And there's not. We're in a really good spot right now. And I was just talking about downsizing. So I really don't want any more equipment. Yeah. And so I think that's really the perfect answer is that it's free money. I don't have to pay it back or anything like that. I would do it to improve the lives of everyone that's working there. And so like Dylan said, I think I would probably make our break room better with, lots more stuff. Because who doesn't like food? In fact, I think I would stock it exactly. Just stock it with this shit and
Skittles.
Skittles for sure. Hey, and I give the chips a 7.2.
7.2.
They're good, but they honestly don't taste like pickles. It just tastes like a weird flavor.
Yeah, it's like my wife said, salt, like a salt and vinegar. Like
kind of, but more salt than vinegar, which I hate salt and vinegar chips. So like this is like a cheater's way into salt and vinegar chips.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I just wanted some packing material. But
and Andy's blew up.
Yeah, I think your answers are great and really speak to, I think, why your shops are both successful is that like the human element is really important. And to your point, Andy, like, the actual printing is like, once you get that dialed in, it's on autopilot. The really important part, it's not on autopilot. I know that, but like the really important part are the humans and making sure that they have what they need and that they're happy and that they can continue to, keep the wheels or the gears greased, so to speak. So,
yeah, that's something we could do with the money too, is like realistically just like split it to everyone in their wages for the next like a couple years or year or 2 years or whatever.
Totally.
But I'd rather just do fun shit with it. To me, money is like this weird thing. And I think we might've talked about this before, but I feel like growing up poor, you kind of like think of money all the time as like, oh, I need money for this. Like you're counting dollars all the time. You're like, okay, I've got $5 in my pocket. I can buy lunch today and this other thing later or whatever it is. And it's like, once you get to a certain point in business where like you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars a day just on like supplies and like blanks and like whatever else it is, it turns more into just this like weird way to think about it as like a token of like, I have enough credits here to get this thing. And it's just like this weird exchange. It's not necessarily thinking like it's money anymore.
Yeah.
To where like in my personal life, I don't think about money like that. I think about it as like experiences. It's like, okay, I can take these credits to have this experience, and the story is worth more than like the credits. It's like I don't know, it's a weird way to say it. So like, I feel like if I had that $100,000, it would just be like, all right, let's like think of some crazy shit we can do that we can talk about that thing 20 years from now and like laugh our asses off because we did some stupid shit.
Love that. Yeah, for sure.
Cheers.
Right.
Cheers to that.
Bink. Do you want to do another question or do you want to do listener questions and quick takes? I don't know what you got to do because you're being secretive about where you are. So I don't know if you're taking Joanne out to this fancy ballroom dancing or something.
How'd you know? Yeah, that's my thing.
I fucking know you.
Okay.
Now.
I'm going to come clean. I just talked, I guess, some real talk about my vulnerability a minute ago. Yeah, we're taking ballroom dancing lessons.
Not surprised at all.
Damn, dude, that's brave of you to share with us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked.
Much respect.
I love you guys, and so I want you to know me a little bit better. And so, what do you? I have time to do. If you have listener questions, I didn't post anything about it.
I did earlier, and I haven't checked to see what came in, but
there's probably nothing.
There was some earlier. I've had to make them up before.
It's my negative self-talk working. Since we're being vulnerable.
Don't do that. Don't talk negative about yourself. If you talk negative, your mind's going to think that it's negative.
I'm the worst.
Yeah, me too. So I'm
yeah,
just
we had I gave a speech on Thursday maybe, someday last week. And it was just, I held it to 20 minutes. It was a meeting. It was a sort of, I didn't want it to go too long, but it was about positivity. And I wanted that day. It was Tuesday because I called it Positive Tuesday. And so I wanted everyone to, like, zero complaints were allowed that entire day, no matter what, about your department, that department, anybody, anything. It's positive. And so I remember one time, it's like towards the end of the day, somebody came over and I was chatting with somebody not far from them, and I heard them come over and they're like, "Oh, have you seen that art? It's so ugly." I go, whoa, time out. I said, "Nah, the art's not ugly. You come over and you say that art is the most beautiful art I've seen." And I know that's sarcasm, but people would get it. And it's just like a positive spin on it. And what's funny is we were on a walk I don't know if it was this morning or the day before, but there was these two buildings that were sort of by, we walked by, and Joanne was like, "Oh, those are really ugly." And I was like, because all these other buildings are really pretty, and they have these two buildings that were ugly. And I go, "Well, I don't know. Is that maybe negative? Maybe you could just say," because I was doing the positive thing. And she goes, "Oh, I think things that are ugly are pretty." And so I was like, so confused. I was like, "Oh, okay. So you're saying those buildings are pretty? Okay, yeah,
and
great."
She calls you pretty all the time.
Yeah, and I go, "And you're with me. Like, this is perfect."
Damn it.
So don't ever take her to get like LASIK or anything, or you're fucked.
So yeah, positivity. Yeah. So.
All right, I got a couple. So
he's making these up, by the way.
I've done that. All right.
I can see the reflection in his glasses.
It's just a blank. It's my home screen on my phone. Eric at Night Owl says, "What's the secret to cutting flat stock correctly?"
So I do it one by one. Rulers with cork backing and sharp blades. That's honestly the only way I've ever cut flat stock.
Well, that's a good tip, though, is the cork backing. Is that just so it won't slide or won't hurt the flat stock?
Yeah, both. Yeah. So it's like it gives you, because obviously, like when you're cutting, it's like you want to put like pressure basically like where you're cutting, and the cork lets you put a little bit more pressure. It's not just metal on paper. So if it does slide, it won't scuff the ink. But yeah, super sharp blade. That's the biggest problem by far. If you have a sharp blade, you can basically like almost do anything. But I don't know, people want to skimp or don't want to change the blade before they start cutting. And then like the knife just does what it wants when the blade.
And I think part two, maybe not quite as important, is that straight edge, because that's how we cut our tag sheets, is that we use a ruler or a straight edge to hold it down. So it, so it's stable as you cut.
Yeah. Yeah. And they make those super nice, like you use them in like sign making shops, that the long rulers that have like almost like a grippy backing, like a non-slip backing. And then they also have a guard for your thumb. So if the knife does slip, you won't just like sever an artery or whatever. So yeah.
That main thumb artery that we all have.
Yeah. It's dangerous still. And you laugh now, but see you at your funeral.
Fucking bleed out when I cut my thumb later. Eric also asks, what have you found to be the best flat stock registration tab?
Oh, geez. These are like, these are great, straight from my head. I'm glad the questions that I asked myself made it through. I always just use like masking tape. So I was always doing short runs, like under 150. And one of the shop hacks, if you go back into the early FloodPull videos, I take a roll of masking tape, and I think you're looking at the roll this way. I cut down to the core. So I basically make it into like segments. And then you can peel like 5 or 6 pieces of tape at once. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you get this like really nice little registration tab that you can just put onto the table and register to that. It does like soften after like a bit of time. If you keep running paper into it, it will start to like shift a little bit, but that's like my go-to. And if you're doing small runs and aren't a complete like heathen, just like jamming paper all around, it'll totally work for like well over 100 prints.
That's awesome. Okay. Let's see. These ones don't really have anything necessarily pertain to you. It's just kind of all of us questions. Flip and Sweet asks, your best marketing hack from Andy, Dylan, and FloodPull. Much love, Danny. So do any of us have a marketing hack? I think it's be really nice up front and then be a dickhead once they actually start working with you. Call them out on their shit.
I got my marketing hack is I spend almost all of our marketing dollars on fixing stuff that goes wrong, because that just ties right back to and I've said this before, right? Ties right back to the word of mouth, because if you fix something that goes wrong, those people are doing the marketing for you when, they're either going to say, man, Shirtcong shirts all washed, they all washed out, they suck, or they're going to say they had an issue and they fixed it. Go there. They're awesome. And so that's my marketing budget.
Yeah. It's a big marketing budget. Sure.
I'm going to piggyback onto that one. Cause I think that's the same, like any advice I'd give to a shop is like, there's like the wanting to dig your heels in and be like, but they did something wrong. So that's why things went wrong. And at some point you just have to look in the mirror and be like, all right, what actually happened here and how can I make it right? If the shirt's washed out, there's no blame on their side. Oh, they washed them in hot water and we said it needed to be medium or whatever. I think that's a really good point, Andy. That goes double for me.
I think one thing that I've found out over the years, and we kind of talked about this in our meeting the other day, is if you're specifically going towards certain clientele that you want to work with, not just like randos, like not just being like, hey, I want to work with anybody and everybody who wants to come here. But if it's somebody you're targeting specifically, lead with helping them with something or giving them something. Don't just call them and be like, hey, do you want to work with us? Or email them and say, hey, we want to do your screen printing, work with us, please. All that stuff. I try to lead with like, hey, big fan of your work, would love to send you some samples. And is there anything that you want to see that you haven't felt or touched or anything yet? I'll do what I can to get it to you, and then be on top of it. So like, say there's a brewery you want to work with, send them a couple of shop shirts of your own stuff that you've printed with your own styles and your own quality. And then maybe throw in like a shirt that's, say it's summer coming up. You're like, okay, here's a new, fast fashion or something, Bella tank top and a tee that's new or a new color or something. Put it in a box, mail it to them. It costs you like fucking maybe $10.
Right.
And that customer is going to know that you led with, hey, here's some free stuff for you. And A, if you can, ask them their size. And B, like, they're going to be like, okay, cool. Like, they took the time and energy to give me this stuff, and it's giving me ideas for stuff that we can do together. And I like their print quality. Let's work together. Not like, give me your business.
Yeah.
So I always try to lead with like us helping them in some way first before asking for anything back.
Super smart. Yeah.
Other than that, it's a bunch of people asking, where are my stickers? Why didn't I get a sticker pack?
I would say everybody, I got hit up a bunch today too, because I put in some questions. If you want a Printata, hit me up. I'll put you on the list. Ask Dylan. It might be 2 years, but you might get one. I don't know.
Eventually.
Honestly, they take way too long.
Do you have a FloodPull store where people can just buy stickers and buy these things from you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yes, but I put a Pinata up and like never got any action, because it's like, for it to be worth it, it would need to be like $70, and like people love the idea of a Pinata but don't want to spend $70, which I totally understand. So
I think you should just do it. Say $100, Printata, put it on there. Dude, there's shit like that people buy. Like I bought for friends. There's that. God damn it, I'm gonna blank now. But there's that dude who recycles skateboards and makes like screen printing squeegees. Mm-hmm. And it's I would never want to print with that, but I want it because it's rad and it's like part of our industry. So I bought them for like friends. I've just been like, hey, just buying them a gift. It's like, hey, here's this like super rad like recycled skateboard squeegee, and it's like $100. Yeah. It's like $120 or something.
Yeah, it's a great gift. Yeah, my wife got me one of those. I love what that dude does. But yeah, you're right. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll put them up. So if you want stickers, you can just DM me your address and I can send you some stickers gratis. But yeah, I'll reanimate the FloodPull shop for sure, just for you, Dylan.
Okay.
I actually did get a question, and what's weird is that somehow they are watching this or something, because this hasn't even come out yet and they know something about it. But the question is that a functioning fireplace behind you? Because you're in New York, and you wouldn't think that you have a real fireplace.
So that's a TV. And then behind it, that's a TV. And then behind it, there's a fireplace that we can't use.
Do you sit on the floor to watch TV?
No. How dare
Why is it so low?
I sit on the ladder. and I watch from there. That's
you
what
hang
everybody
on the
does.
ladder upside down to reach the floor where your TV is.
How else would you do it?
Yeah. And the
Honest
second question, the follow-up to that is where does that ladder go?
Oh, this is like a sleeping loft.
Okay.
So that's
awesome.
where my wife and I sleep, separate beds, but just kidding. Just in case her dad's watching.
Now.
Yeah. No, but yeah, so we have a 1-bedroom apartment, and the bedroom is actually the office, which is where I usually am. But I pulled my I'll send you a picture of my setup right now, but
Send me a picture of your bedroom.
yeah, you already have one of those. I pulled the desk out so I could have the email request I got from the shirt show overlords was have a cool background, you dope. It said that verbatim. It called me a dope.
Chad.
So yeah, I pulled the desk out so I could just have something engaging in the background. So
I'm going to give a little worldly tip is that when I worked at Sears, because when I first started my company, I was also working at Sears at the time. And that was something that we would tell people because we installed appliances and like big stuff like TVs and stuff like that. That's what I did is I just went around and installed stuff. And it's like really bad for your TV to like hang it above a fireplace. So like if you were to have your fireplace on, or even if it's like an insert or like a gas thing, it's not good for that heat to go straight up from the fireplace and hit your TV. I
thought it was. I thought it was good to get it really hot. It's not. That's weird.
It's really hot. I'm just saying you see that all the time. Like people have a fireplace mantle and then they put their TV above it.
There, you see, I gave shit back to you and you said you love that. And so there you go. Hey, all right. So quick takes.
Yeah.
What is one thing you need every day?
So I start my day with liquid IV. I'm not getting paid to say this. It's a electrolyte hydration multiplier.
You fucker. You work for that company and you're trying to sell it. We know that shit doesn't work.
Liquid IV, how to stay hydrated in a world where hydration is, no, I don't work for them, but it's a bad habit. But I got it when I was traveling, and it's like drink 1 bottle of water and it's like drinking 3, whatever. But it has like B12 and electrolytes in it. So I start with this in 50 ounces of water, and I drink that within an hour of rising. And
50 as in 50 or 15?
50.
15.
50, baby. Hydration.
Okay.
I'm like 6'9". I'm a big dude. So not really.
Hold on. You need 50 ounces of water and go with a hydration thing. That's why it's not real. You're just drinking fucking 50 ounces of water.
Dude.
That's a lot of water. Dude, that's a lot of,
okay.
Like to start your day. That's like how much
You're
water
like,
is that?
You wake up and you're like, oh man, I'm thirsty. It's like a 5-gallon pail.
Hour. It's less than an ounce a minute, dudes. Okay. So let's talk about hydration for once and for all. But yeah, this is probably snake oil, but I put it in my 50 ounces of water that I drink within an hour of rising. And
yeah, I get up in the morning and I drink 350 ounces of water. And then I start my day.
That's it.
All right, Dylan, next question.
I don't fucking know. I don't have my phone out, Andy.
It is, what is your favorite snack?
Apparently we're asking questions for me now. Yeah, go ahead.
My favorite snack is, I really
Skittles.
like Skittles. Yeah, those are pretty good. I'm like a sweet hound. So I would eat anything sour. There's Trolley. I don't know if you know, I don't know how familiar you are with the sour candy, but the company Trolley makes something called a sour bright egg, which is like a segment of gummy worm, sour gummy worm encased in like a jelly bean shell. Just go find them. Thank me later. But yeah, that's my go-to snack.
All right. I
I eat a bag of those within an hour of rising.
With his 50 ounces of water.
50 ounces of water as well.
Right.
So, where is your happy place?
Oh man.
The loft.
Yeah. The sleeping loft. No, lately it's been in the park with my wife. The weather's been getting so much nicer, and like we've just been picking a bench and just people watching. And I could legitimately do that for like a good 9 hours a day.
Central Park?
Yeah. Yeah. We live like a block and a half away from Central Park. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's the best. It's like 850 acres. My dad had never been to New York before, and he came to New York and he was like, what the hell? What are people talking about? The concrete jungle. There's like 800 acres of forest right here, you know?
My
so
daughter loves to do like Google Earth. That's like what she does in her like free time with her tablet. She'll like just go to different places on Earth. And she was going to Central Park recently, and then she found the Balto statue.
Oh yeah.
And then what's the other one called? The one who actually did all the work? There's like another dog there too. That's like Balto stole all the credit, but there's like the other dog there.
Yeah.
It's
the unnamed
dog.
Yeah.
Lassie.
Oh
Yeah, it was Lassie.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, when Timmy fell down the well.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Gotcha.
Balto pulled him out the rest of the way. That's how that story goes, right?
Balto, that snake.
Yeah. Okay. Is it my turn now?
Yep.
What are you watching right now? What shows are you into?
So we started watching Broad City. I don't know if y'all watch that, but comedy show about two women
girls,
that live
right?
Yep. Wait, what'd you say?
It's the two girls, right?
Yeah. They live in Brooklyn, and people recommended it as like one of the more authentic New York shows.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been watching that. But I really want to get into Severance. I've heard really great things about that, but I haven't watched it yet.
Mm-hmm. It looks really weird.
Yeah. Next time we talk, that'll be my answer for that one.
Okay. Andy.
Okay. Yeah. The amended 1 auto. Hold on. Time out. 1 manual or 10 autos?
1 manual all day.
One manual or 10 manuals?
1. And dude, anything that's like, I would so much rather focus all of my energy onto work that I could like wrap my hands around versus trying to even think about how to get enough work on 10 presses and have enough people to run them. And yeah, 1 press all day.
We
1
should have
star.
edited this to be 1 manual or 1 manual with 1 extra arm added.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. That's a bad
I can
idea.
just picture the dude with his feet up on the desk being like, this herb, like, what is he talking about?
You don't
You
want to
sucker.
do that.
You bought a 6-1 press, like, you dope.
We already got you to buy the 1 piece of shit. Why would we have you at this?
Yeah. You want another whole setup? We can sell you one of those.
I'm supposed to know this next question. I fucking hate this question, Andy. Is shit real?
Is shit real?
That's the question. Yeah, Andy made it up.
Yeah. I think shit's real.
You think shit's real?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
My day-to-day experience in life would suggest that shit is real.
Okay. Do you believe in any kind of like cryptozoology or aliens or anything like that?
No, I don't.
None.
I don't know what cryptozoology is.
Like Sasquatch and like fucking all that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know either. When he said it like that, I was like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. No. So no, not really. Just from like the practical side of my brain, but I like hope beyond hope that like Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Loch Ness Monster,
Chupacabra, Nessie,
dude, the goat sucker, La Chupacabra. Like, please, yes. Like, but my biggest fear is like the way the world is. Then once we find them, they'll just put them in a cage and just be like, all right, cool. Like, come see this thing that, evaded us for so long. And now we got it, and like, give us $28.
Like King Kong, just like that. I know.
Exactly.
I feel you. Don't do that.
That's my favorite documentary, by the
way. What is for dinner?
What is for dinner? So I'm going to go meet my wife. We're going to go to this place, Francia. It's a vegan restaurant. My wife's vegan. So they do like they do like vegan Chinese food. So we're going to go munch on some of that. I think it's going to be awesome.
Is it just like, what is it? Tofu with Asian sauce?
No, dude. The vegan Chinese food world is like light years ahead. It's mostly soy-based fake meats. So like you can have like,
tell me more.
I mean, in the right sauce, honestly, if you have teriyaki sauce on it or something or whatever it is, you're not going to know anyway. Whatever sauce it is that you're having, half the time you don't even know you couldn't tell what kind of meat it was anyway. It's delicious sauce.
That's
Throw it
what
on there.
he said.
And then there you go.
Just throw some sauce on it.
Meat and sauce, dude.
My battery on this laptop's going to die in about 20 seconds.
Oh, nice
Liam,
excuse.
thank you for the Printatas, plural, because I have actually 2 of them. And so one of them, I think I'm going to break. And
Awesome.
you will be part of that. Hopefully one day when we meet in person, we'll just break it together.
Yeah.
Thank you for these wonderful snacks. I'm going to enjoy this one later. Thanks for sharing your story. And it was fun hanging out.
Dude, hell yeah. I'm so stoked for this one.
Dude, thanks so much for having me on. This is like, I can't tell you how much it means to me to be able to spend some time with y'all and just to get to know each other better. I really hope we can do this again in the future. And if you ever need somebody on short notice, hit me up. I can drag the desk out of the office and we can do this all over again.
Yeah, I want to hit you up about something after the show anyway. But you're not that far away either, so I just need to make a day trip to the city and you got to show me around. We'll have some fucking Asian saucy bean dip or whatever the fuck it is you guys
We'll sauce all the meats. We'll go by the Balto statue and find that other poser. Yeah, we'll do it all.
No, Balto's the poser. Fuck that.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
Balto.
right. Sorry. My bad. Yeah, my bad. Oops.
Right. Okay. We'll find Lassie's statue.
Right on.
All right, dude. We'll see you later. Have a good night.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Later, man.
See ya.